Okay, guys. So we started the Ten Commandments. We actually this week we focus actually on the first one because that's the step number one, right? The entry to Judaism, right? Will be believing in God, right? It's no place to be lenient in that one, so to speak, or to be flexible, or you're in or you're out. Do you believe in God or not, right? Certain things is life, right? There's no gray area. It's very, very clear, right? Are you in or you're out, right? But including and believing in God includes a lot of things. And that's what we said. That's what the Rambam came up with, the 13 principles. So we took off yesterday with the 13th one, right? Believing in the resurrection of the dead. So the idea is like this. So this is a lot of, you might say, deep stuff or a lot of details. And it's in Tractate Sanhedrin, the 10th chapter, right? I told you, it says, Kol Israel, all Jewish people, yesh lahem, they have chelek eishir lolam haba, right? That's right. That's what it says. What it means, kol. What's kol?
All.
All. What we're coming to say, all. Who we're coming to add?
The wicked ones.
Even the wicked ones, right? Not only the tzaddikim, not only the righteous, even the wicked one. Kol Israel, right? All Jewish people, yesh lahem, right? Chelek asher lolam haba, in the world to come. Except what?
Russia.
Except, so the Mishnah over there lists the following. Somebody that does not believe in the resurrection of the dead, right? And somebody that doesn't believe, right, in the world to come, okay? That he exclude himself, right, in that share, right? The idea is like this, like I told you. Many times we see measure for measure. So if you exclude yourself, you isolated yourself, that you don't want to be there, well, you're out, right? So that's the idea. So somebody that does not believe in the resurrection of the dead, right, won't actually merit to be there, to experience it. Now, just the basics, it's like I told you, a lot of details and a lot of deep stuff and mystical stuff. So just the basic, what we'll do now is I'll give you some information. So first of all, it's essential also by the Jewish people, right? We pray 3 times in the Shmoneh Esrei, right? And we say, right, Mechaye Meitim, right? That the dead people, right? Atarav lehoshia, that God will redeem them, right? Right? So we believe in it and we mention it 3 times. So it's a reason why we say it, meaning it's something crucial, important in Judaism, okay? Now, because the idea is like this, you see, the idea is that we believe we're going towards something. We have a future, right? That's why the book of Bereshit, right, is telling you the past. You know from where you came, what are the roots, right? It's like a tree that is going and to where it's going. Where are we facing to? Okay? We have a direction, something to go to. Okay? So the messianic area, right? And the Mashiach, and right, and then you have the Tchiyat HaMitim, right, and all that is preparation actually to world to come. So let me explain a bit the basic, guys. So the way that it works, the Talmud over there in Sanhedrin says the following, okay, that the world that we are now will be for how long?
6,000 years.
Very good. The Talmud says the world that we are now 6,000 years, right? And then the 7,000 years will be the world to come. The world to come. So now, but it's built like this. The 6,000 years is built in 3 periods. The first 2,000 years, the world was, so to speak, empty, right? Till Abraham, right, came into place. In the age, according to the Midrash and this Gemara, in the age of 52, he recognized, he came to the conclusion that is one creator to the world, and he started to fulfill, believing in the unity of God and fulfilling the Torah and mitzvahs voluntarily, okay? So from when Abraham was 52, right, he on his own came to the conclusion, right, and encouraging others to believe in God, in the unity of God, okay, guys? So, the first 2,000 years was empty. The second 2,000 years, meaning from year 2000 till 4,000, is the world of Torah. So it starts with Abraham, right? Discovering God, coming to the conclusion that is God, monotheism, goes on with the Jewish people receiving the Torah, goes on with the Jewish people, right? Matan Torah, goes on with the Jewish people coming into Israel, building the temple, right? All that, right? And where does it end that period, right? So that period ends in the destruction of the second temple, okay? So, but if you'll count, Rashi over there counts, I'll just tell you, the idea is like this, okay? It starts with Abraham in the age of 52. Very good. In order to remember it, you know what's a gematria of sun? How you say sun in Hebrew?
Shemesh.
Sun, not the, very good, okay? Ben. How much is Ben? 52, right? So that's the way to remember, very easy, that Abraham discovered and came to the conclusion of God in the age of Ben, 52.
I have a question. Shem didn't start from Shem or Noah? How would that make sense that Torah starts from Abraham when Abraham learned from Shem?
Very good, very good. So the answer is Shem and Eva did believe in God, right? And it says that this week's parasha that Rebecca went to ask what's going on, right? She's asking in a house of study of Shem and Eva. But it seems to be that they didn't go out and do outreach, so to speak. They didn't go out, spread out the word. Whoever came to them, fine. But they didn't go and spread out or do outreach outside their place. The big difference of Abraham, that he was going and fighting for it. Abraham was fighting against the king of Nimrod. He was thrown into the furnace, right? Shem and Eva did not experience all that. That's the big difference between, right, Avram and Shem and Eva. So to speak, that Avram was active, proactive, right? Going, fighting for it in the front line. And there, whoever came to them, they did. Okay? So the second 2,000 guys, right? We're starting the years of Torah. Starts when Abraham is 52, right? And it ends up, right, in the destruction of the temple. Why it ends up over there, guys, in the destruction of the temple? Because, right, over there we're losing the temple. And after we have the time of the Mishnah, and after that, right, we are in the times of the Gemara. We don't have the clarity like it was. So just, guys, don't make the mistake. When I say the 2,000 years of Torah, when the Gemara says it, it means those are the main years of Torah, the best situation for Jewish people in those 2,000 years. Obviously, the Torah goes on, and we have to continue. But it means that it started over there, and those were the best years for the Jewish people, okay? Obviously, it goes on after the 2 years. Okay, guys, so the first period, the first 2,000 years was empty. Middle, right? Torah. The middle, Torah. And what is the last 2,000 years? Mashiach. Meaning from year 4,000, really Mashiach had to come. Okay? That's what the Talmud says in Tractate Sanhedrin. Now, just 1 second. Now, the idea is like this. Obviously, you see that we didn't merit it yet. So God has his calculation when to bring Mashiach, but Mashiach, according to this, must come before the year 6,000. Okay? Now, what's the idea? The idea really of Mashiach is like I mentioned to you yesterday. The idea of Mashiach is a human being. He will be a king, he will be a redeemer, bring back the Jewish people in the best position that they could be, right? So you won't have, right, bring all Jewish people from the exile, right? Rebuild the temple, right? Fight the enemies of the Jewish people, right? And we're able to achieve and to do what we have. Spiritually also we'll be in a higher level. It won't be a push for the evil, right, to sin. So the idea is really, what do you usually do on Friday, guys? Well, you have freedom, but if you have a family, what do you usually do?
Friday afternoon, we prepare for Shabbat.
Prepare for Shabbat, right? So Friday, you prepare for Shabbat, right? That's why Friday afternoon you have off, right? You prepare for Shabbat. What's Mashiach? Prepare us for
Shabbat, 7,000.
For the 7,000. The Ramban, the Nachmanis, in the book of Bereshit, in the beginning of Bereshit, says, you heard the idea that, right, one day of God is what?
1,000 years.
Very good. Wow, guys, we have here scholars, right? One day of God is 1,000 years. So the Nachmanis explains, right? And he explains how many days of creation were?
7.
Oops.
6, 7.
Okay, very crucial to remember. 6, not 7, right? 6 days of creation, right? So the Abban corresponds, and he's so beautiful how it fits well every day of creation to every 1,000 years, right? For example, right, in the 3rd day of creation, then God planted trees and things to grow. That's the 3rd 1,000 years, the years of Torah, when Abraham came into the picture, right? And the 6,000 years, right? Who was created on Friday? Man. That corresponds with Mashiach coming, right? Man was created the last one, right? The idea is that God put all the world together, right? And man comes into the picture on Friday, the last one. When Mashiach will come? In the very end, to prepare for Shabbat.
I have a question.
The world to come. Yes.
Is there a debate or machlochet on, let's say, it is the year 5999 right now.
Yeah.
Chas v'shalom, within a couple of hours, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah and Mashiach comes. The year 6000 comes. Mashiach didn't come, and all the Jews are going nuts, and the year 6000 hits, and Mashiach doesn't come. What do we do with the Torah?
So very good. So 1 second. So first of all, this is opinion in a Gemara.
Oh, of course.
So right.
Of course.
Okay. And for example, I'll tell you, when the Rambam brings down the laws of Mashiach, right, he actually doesn't mention this piece that he must come in 6,000 years. This is opinion in the Gemara that divides the world, right, to 3 periods, right? The first 2,000, the middle 2,000, and the last 2,000. Okay? So you got to know what it is, okay? According to this opinion, that's how it's built, okay? Remember, it's opinion in the Gemara. Yeah.
Does it mean that the people who were in the Torah period did not believe in the Messianic period to come within their time? In their time?
Before the year 4,000 from creation? No, it wasn't meant to come.
Okay.
He was meant to come. He was ready, meant to come from the year 4,000 from creation.
Okay.
So far, so good, guys? Okay? So according to this opinion, that's the idea. And like I told you, the Nachmanis, the Ramban does it very well with the idea that a day, right, of God is 1,000 years, and it corresponds, every year of creation corresponds with 1,000 years of this world, okay? Like I told you, Tuesday, for example, right? Things growing, that's Abraham. Friday is human being, that's Mashiach. Okay, now the idea is like this, guys. Resurrection of the dead. So the question is, when is that going to happen? So some say that Mashiach will come, right? And prepare us, like we said, build the temple, will be great. We'll have the Kohanim serving in the temple, we'll be, like I mentioned to you yesterday, back in the times of Shlomo HaMelech. That's probably the best time in history for Jewish people. But what about all the tzaddikim, the patriarchs, Moshe, Aaron? They won't experience the period of Mashiach? Yes,
they
no?
will. They'll be resurrected.
Oh, so on this, there are 2 major approaches, guys, very interesting. One approach is like Mordechai, that in the times just before Mashiach or at Mashiach, that's the question, but will be one resurrection in the time of Mashiach. For the righteous, not for all Jewish people, only for the special righteous, for that they should be able to experience the good time of Jewish people, that they shouldn't miss this period of the Messianic era. So Moshe, Aaron, the patriarchs, right? Those great tzaddikim will come in, will be, the first resurrection will be for the righteous people. Then the Messianic era is over, and then will be the world to come, and then will be a second resurrection of the dead for all people. So according to this opinion, guys, right, there are 2 resurrection of the dead. Okay? The first one, what's the difference, guys? The first one is only for the righteous, for the special. They live, they experience the temple, the Kohanim, right? The glory, right? And then in the end of the 6,000, right? So in the 7,000 year, right? Just before the 7,000 years, right? Will be the world to come. Yes, Alon.
So I believe that the resurrection will happen. However, I'm just like wondering, you know, when a person gets buried, you get buried in the ground where, you know, your body turns into carbon eventually and the worms are eating your body. So how do they get resurrected?
Or you think God can't just go like that and resurrect?
No, I'm sure he can. I'm just wondering, do they get back their full body? Like,
right, so I'll tell you very simple, Alon. The body is like clothing, it's like you. Let me ask you, for example, do you care when there will be the resurrection of the dead if you wake up with a blue suit or red suit?
no, of course not.
No. The body is the same idea. The body is a clothing for the soul. The main thing is the body. The soul, sorry.
Correct.
So
how
does
would
it?
we know
So it's a,
like if they're in someone?
so just God created the first human being, Adam Arishon, right? He was able to do that, right?
Yes.
So that's all happen again. That'll happen again. So we do believe it will be body and soul, right? And the soul, the idea is like this. What a shoe? What's the purpose of a shoe?
Protect your feet.
Shoe.
Protect your feet.
Protect your feet. Why? What's the problem to go without shoes?
Glass.
Dirt, glass, right?
Hot object.
Scratches, right? Get injured, right? So the shoe really is protecting you from, right, walking here on earth. That's the same idea, guys. The body is the shoe for the soul. The soul is something spiritual, holy. It can step on here on earth or get hurt, right, spiritually speaking, right? It just can't walk here. It's too dirty for the soul to walk here. What makes it available to the soul to come back to be here on earth? The body. So it's the shoe. So the shoe.
Is Hashem gonna will he give them their original body so we know?
So is it exactly the same body, Obey? That's a good question. I believe that they have different views on that, right? But Obi definitely body. Okay? Bring back exactly the same body or no, but will be a body. Okay? But that's the idea, you see, okay? That's what makes it doable that the soul will come be here on earth. What I told you guys, it's not me. This is the opinion of the Ritva, is one of the early commentaries, Ritva, and the others followed this idea. There will be two resurrection of the dead. The first one to experience the times of Mashiach, okay, for the righteous people. And then in the end of the Messianic era, when we get close to the year 7,000, will be another resurrection for all Jewish people, and then you arrive to the world to come. Okay? Guys, this is the basic that you should get a little bit of a sense of it, but obviously there's a lot more details into it. Could be found in the Tractate Sanhedrin. Like I told you, the 11th chapter, it's over there. Okay? Let's go on, guys. So, interesting. Let's just mention also this. The first commandment, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. What's Anochi? I am. Could you use another Hebrew word for I am? Ani. Very good. In Hebrew, you could say Ani. And actually, in the modern Hebrew, right, if I say that I want to go, so you usually say Ani. Ani holech, right? I'm walking, I'm saying. So what's the difference between Anochi to Ani? So the Malbim, one of the great commentaries you should know for the Chumash, guys, is the Malbim. And he's also very into the grammar because he tells you exactly the differences, right? The letters, how to read them, and the words. So he does a beautiful, beautiful work, and he explains the following. You see, the difference is the following. When you say Ani holech, what's holech?
To go.
To go. So really, I'm coming to tell you, I'm going. That's the main thing that I'm coming to tell you. I'm going. Right? Ani olech la'otobus. Okay, I'm going to the bus. But if I'm saying Anochi olech la'otobus, it's coming to highlight me and not somebody else. You hear the idea? When you're saying that sentence, right? You're coming to highlight, when you say Anochi, the main thing is the highlight here, me and not somebody else. So when God wants to say, I'm God and no other God, what he should say? Anochi or Ani? Anochi. That's what it's coming to say here. I'm Hashem your God and no others. Right? No two gods. Okay?
Actually, no one speaks like that though. Anochi,
That's right. In the modern Hebrew, it's not so popular, but
What's the point of
that's what that. It doesn't mean that we don't use. It's not approved. That doesn't make right a difference.
Commandment.
Yes.
How does it make it a commandment again?
Sorry.
How does it make that a commandment?
That actually we did explain, and it's not a statement. It's a commandment. We said it in the very beginning. That's what the Maimonides hold. That those that say that it's only a statement, that's one approach. The second approach is that it is a commandment. And again, the Malbim explains, because every person who's born, we believe that every person who's born with a part of God in him. The part of God in him is the soul. So you have the knowledge to know that is God. So it's not something new to you. So that's why you have to develop that knowledge and use that knowledge. That's why God could appear to you and say to you, yeah, you should know that is God, because you have that piece into you, so to speak, that you can use it. If I build a machine and install a piece in it, right, you could use that piece and you cannot use that piece. Every person has that piece in that, right? Okay, so that's just a nice insight of the Malbim that God says, Anochi and not Ani. Okay, you hear the idea? Okay. Another idea, the Nachmani says here, the idea is like this. God is saying, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Is it single or plural? He's saying, is he speaking to each one or saying to everybody together? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. What's Elokecha? Your God. Meaning the idea is like this. Every individual has obligation to believe and to do this commandment. Don't say, well, it's a group of people, will be okay, they'll follow God, right? And it will be okay, right? The idea is, no. It's not an obligation of a group of a people. Every individual on his own has this commandment, right? Am Hashem, your God, directly to you. God is speaking to each one and one. Okay, the next commandment is, so in Parashat Yitro, in Exodus, yeah. I'll read in the Hebrew 4:8, verse 3, yeah, 4:9 in the English, right? So, lo hiye lecha, right? You shouldn't recognize, right? Other gods, right? In my presence, right? Lo hiye lecha elokim acherim al panai, right? Mm-hmm. So, not to believe in another God, right? Only one God, one creator. And this is also very crucial. Obviously, it goes together, because the positive commandment was the first one, believe in me. And this is, right, a match to it, right? It's like twins that go together, Siam twins that you can't split, right? The first one was a positive one, believe in me. And this is what? Don't believe in others. So Rashi just explains, Elokim acherim. What's acherim? What's acherim? Others, meaning that they're really not God. Who made them God? Others, right? People made them God. Unlike what the God that we believe, it's a fact that, right? He created the world. He is the real God. But that when we say worshiping idols, right, is acherim. Others made them God. Now the idea is like this. The Nachmanides explains that. And others also go with the idea, just again, the basic, not the whole thing. So the idea is how you understand how people used to worship idols. What's going on here? Were they stupid? What's going on? So the Nachmanides points out and he says the following. You see, the idea is like this. It went in movements, right? Reform, right? Reform, what's reform? You're making a change. And the change goes in movement, right? When you're starting a change, so you're starting and saying, maybe this, right? And then in a while you can say, maybe that, right? And maybe you say A, I say B, maybe C, maybe D. The idea is like this. They were back in the day, when we're going back to the very beginning, right? For example, in the times of the generation of the Babylonian tower, right? Or in the times of Nimrod, right? That he was rebelling against Abraham. Mm-hmm. So when it started the movement, the idea is like this. They say, we believe in God. We know that he created the world, but he gave power to others. And just like a king, you have a king, right? And you have ministers, right? So they say maybe it will be easier to us to connect to the ministers and not to the king, right? It's so hard to connect to God because he's so far away. So maybe we should pray, worship, right, his ministers. That's how it started. And that's the idea. So they could pray to in the beginning, they had the concept of praying to angels, right? Or to different powers, or to different mazalot, right? We believe that God created the world in a system that works, right? With mazalot, every month, for example, has a different mazal. Every nation has a minister. So it started with such idea that they said, right? We believe in God. We believe in a creator, right? But it will be easier to us to connect to the ministers, right? And not to God directly. That's how the idea, right? The Nachmanis actually points out that there are three groups. The first group were like worshiping the ministers that are in charge. It says, for example, that Esav, right, the minister of Esav was fighting against Jacob. So it's such an idea that every nation has somebody, right? Again, we believe that, right, God created everything. There's only one God, right? And he built a world in a system that he created the angels. He created these ministers, right? And he gave them power, but they cannot overcome him, right? That's our belief. And the others believe that if we pray to them, right, they will help us out. And that was the big mistake, that we relate to them and not to God. Okay, those a second group that were worshiping the sun, the moon, the stars, right? They saw it as like the army of Hashem, the system right there, over there, up over there. And it was even a time that people, so to speak, that believed in God, that they said that they were God-like, Pharaoh, right? So his philosophy was that if more people will believe in him, will create and give him power, and he will have power. Okay, so that's the idea, guys. Basically, the idea is that they wanted to go to intermediate, to something in the middle, and not to go directly to God. That's how it developed, that's how it started. What happens later doesn't really matter, but right? But that's how it starts. That was the thinking, that was the thought, that was the mistake of, we believe in God, but he's so holy, so special, and so far away from us, we cannot connect him. We need something in the middle, and we say no. Oh, just as you mentioned also over here, I told you, remember, that there are two opinions. One opinion says that the first two commandments we heard directly from God, right? And the Jewish people cannot handle it, right? And they ask Moses, okay, now you speak to us, right? And, right, God will speak to you, and you speak to us, we cannot handle it, okay? And that's also the hint. We have the verse, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. How much is the word Torah, if you count it? Gematria?
611.
611. How many mitzvot we have?
613.
What happened to 2 mitzvot?
Hashem said the other two.
Very good. Okay, so that's the idea, right? Torah tziva lanu Moshe. When we say this verse, Torah tziva lanu, this is hinting that Moses gave us 611. Where's the other two? That we heard directly from God. So that's a nice idea, and this supports this opinion. Okay? The others say, no, we heard all the 10 commandments from God, right? But we heard it, the difference between the first two to the other 8 is the first two we understood, right, from God. We heard the sounds and we understood. We couldn't handle it, also the same idea anymore. So we just heard the sounds and we did not understand it. And we needed Moshe to repeat it, and we understood it. We got it really from Moshe. So they heard again. So the first two, they heard and understand. They were not able, they couldn't experience it anymore. It was too above them. And they needed Moshe, okay, you tell us the rest that we should understand it. We heard the sounds, we did not know what it means. Okay? So those are the two approaches.
The tablets, when Moses was holding the tablets, there were 600,000 Jews, maybe more, they say more.
Between the age of 20 and
We
16.
also heard it, but we also saw it. But how does that make sense?
So 1 second. When we're talking about Matan Torah, guys, in this event, remember there are no tablets. This is the experience they're hearing and seeing.
So when did the tablets come down?
Later on, Moses goes up. After this day, Moses goes up for heaven for 40 days, and he was supposed to give them the tablets. in Matan Torah and Shavuot, guys, no tablets. It's a oral experience that they're experiencing. Okay? By the way, that's also the Malbim says, that's what it means that the first two commandments we heard directly from God, Am Hashem your God, and don't have another God, right? Don't have other gods, right, in my presence. They heard directly from God, meaning that means that it was installed in us. That's why God was able to tell us the two commandments and speak to us directly. How come they were able to handle the first two commandments and not the others? That proves the idea of the Malbim, that we have a soul, we have a part in God in us, we have that spark, and that's why that we're able to handle. That much we were able to handle. Am Hashem your God, and don't have other gods. That we're able to handle. More than that, those too high for us and too much for us. Okay? So that supports the idea of the Malbim, that every person has in it that piece, that spark, that soul, a piece of God in him, and that's why the two commandments we were able to handle. Okay, guys, I'd like to end up, the other day I mentioned to you about the verses of the Torah. And I mentioned to you that there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Well, guess what, guys?
There's 3,000. There's 3,000.
So if you count them, right, it's much less. It's 3,400 and something. And now, but the idea is like this. So first of all, thank you for whoever asked over here. Thank you very much. If you count the letters, right, it's no 600. But the idea is that it is a Zohar. So what I said is a Zohar. And it's the statement in Azar says that the word Israel, right? Yesh shishim riba. There are 10,000 otiyot letters in the Torah. So how we explain the Zohar? That's the question. So over here comes a few explanations, and one of them was mentioned that so far I managed to find 3 explanations. One explanation says that it's even with the space of the letters. Okay? One explanation says the nekudot with the grammar. That we read it, we could count also the grammar, even though it's not written in the Torah. But when we read it with the grammar, so that's the nekudot. And the third explanation that I found is that every letter is, you could count it as 2 letters, for example, maybe 2 or 3 letters. For example, Aleph could be 3 letters. It could be the letter Aleph. It's made of a Yud and a Vav. So every letter can be counted for several letters also. So it does appear, that idea does appear in the Zohar. 600,000 is a Jewish idea and appears many times in the Torah. And the Kabbalistic idea is, like I told you, that's the roots of all souls of Jewish people. And that's so far what I found to explain that. Guys, have a wonderful Shabbat.
If you look at Shabbat Shalom, if you look at the word Aleph, 2 Yuds and a Vav. 2 Yuds is 20, Vav is 6, 26. Achad, Hashem is 1.
Oh.
Hashem loves 26.
That's right.